And welcome back to Jeff Koinange, live at the Intercontinental Hotel here tonight on Inspiration Thursday. And I hope some of you get inspired because President number 44, Barack Obama, is coming to town. Finally, we call it homecoming. It sure is indeed, because yes, his dad was Kenyan, and that he can't take away. And we're glad that he's coming. And Bob Godec, U.S. Ambassador to Kenya, is explaining to us U.S.-Kenya relations and also the impact, the ripple effect of President Obama's visit. Belozi, tweets coming in just crazy here. It's just, it's madness, but you know, we'll get to them in a moment. So he comes on Friday night. We know that, right? I mean, we've seen pictures of the beast. We've seen everything. I mean, people have been tweeting from the airport.
You know, I will just tell you that, you know, I can't give you a precise arrival time or date. I can tell you it'll be a significant visit. It's going to be more than, I've seen people say it's only going to be 3 hours. Yeah. I promise you it's going to be more than 3 hours. But, you know, the precise details, again, of the schedule and the program, it will come, and it will come soon. And I think Kenyans will be pleased by what they've seen.
Is that right?
Because I think Kenyans will be pleased.
They want a glimpse. They want a glimpse.
I think Kenyans will be pleased. I do.
From here, Belozi, he goes to Ethiopia, right?
He's going to Ethiopia.
Again, first ever sitting U.S. president to visit Ethiopia.
That'll be an important visit as well. I know he'll do some things with the Ethiopian government. He'll do some things with the AU. So it'll be another important part of the visit. You know, it's an important thing, I think, again, to have the first African-American president and connecting America to the continent, connecting America to Africa. He's put a lot of initiatives in place, which I think have been very, very important, whether it be Power Africa, Trade Africa, Feed the Future. So a lot of stuff's going on. Of course, the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit.
Yeah, I was there last year.
You were, in D.C. That was a huge thing. And of course, this visit will build on that as well. I mean, that was an extraordinary engagement. It was really amazing. Yeah. $33 billion worth of, you know, new investments and projects and things announced at that thing. So, you know, he's done a lot.
Speaking of announcements, Belozi, are there going to be some announcements coming out of this? Are we going to get some kind of package, some kind of, you know, goodies?
I think I can promise some announcements. I'm not going to preview them tonight, but I can tell you there will be some announcements. I think that will be good.
Yeah. Will they be better than what China's giving us? You know, because China is is a big player these days.
Obviously, you know, the Chinese have done some things here. I think they're good things. You know, ultimately, Africans have to judge the relationship between China and Africa, and Kenya has to judge their relationship with China. But we'll have some good things.
We should stay tuned for that.
You should stay tuned.
You don't want to reveal anything? I mean, because, you know, between us, nobody's watching.
I would just say it'll be an extraordinary visit, and, you know, look, there'll be a lot of good discussions around the issues that matter to both our countries. So security, trade and investment, all of the different things that we're doing together. And look, you know, frankly, the fact that we're going to hold the Global Entrepreneurship Summit here in Nairobi is a major thing. And it's what we would call a major deliverable, if you will, for this visit, for the United States, for Kenya. It's a signal of Kenya's innovative culture, your entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
And so, you know, although President Obama's visit here is going to be historic and incredibly important, I would also just emphasize the importance of this summit, this meeting that will take place between entrepreneurs and business people, venture capitalists. You know, that summit, I am convinced, and I certainly hope, believe, will result in new deals, the creation of new jobs, new opportunities for Kenyans. It will be important.
Yeah. Someone was tweeting earlier on that when you mentioned that President Obama is not going to Kogelo, they said he's going to be waving to Kogelo from the air. So what happens to Grandma Sarah Obama?
You know, President Obama cares very much about his family, and as I said, you know, we're still looking at all of the different elements of the program. So, and at an appropriate time, we will go through what the program will be. And I would just emphasize, too, when it comes to that particular part of it, is that's really about President Obama and his family. So this is also a private matter between the president and his family. We will certainly make announcements and come forward with more information about all of this in the very near future, because the visit now is just
A week away.
yeah,
Literally.
not long.
Yeah. Is he brushing up on his Swahili? I heard him speaking a little bit yesterday at
He
the White
said
House.
Habari.
He said
the other day.
Habari.
He said Habari. So yes, and he's certainly he clearly knows some words in Swahili, and I believe in Luo as well.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Wow. Okay. How attractive is Kenya for doing business at this time?
You know, there are lots of things that make Kenya very attractive to American business, and actually one of the things that has been very impressive to me certainly in the last year, but even before that. So, I was here, and as you mentioned earlier, in the 1990s, 1996 to 1999, I was the economic counselor. So I had a lot to do with U.S.-Kenya commercial relations at the time, and, let's be honest, it was there, but it wasn't super robust. But now the interest level of American companies is just much higher. So I have seen in the last year in particular a lot of American companies coming through. We've seen new investments. I opened a Domino's Pizza. I opened a Cold Stone Creamery. I helped to break ground for a new Wrigley factory, a $65 million investment here. And I will tell you that there are other huge investments under discussion and other trade deals that are being worked on. I mentioned earlier as well things like IBM and its research lab, General Electric, others. There is a lot of interest, so I think it is attractive. That said, what's critically important is that the business environment be kept good. Dealing with corruption is critically important. Keeping business rules simple and clear, very important. Building infrastructure, ensuring reliable supply of electricity, all of these things are important to business.
Yeah. Okay. There's a place you like to go drink coffee a lot every morning, and I go to the same place, a lovely place, Java Gigiri.
Yes.
The guy who owns the gas station, his name is Githinji. He says, say hi to the ambassador, tell him he's inviting you for coffee.
Tell him I said Jumbo, and I'll be over there for coffee soon.
This is great. The least attractive thing about this country, you talk about the pluses, right? The least. Okay, security is a concern.
Security is a big concern.
Corruption's
a big concern. And also, frankly, just the ethnicity issue, the tribal issues, the tribal divides. I do think that it's critically important that Kenyans come together and bridge these divides that they've got. That Kenyans, obviously you should honor your heritage. We should all, respect where our fathers and grandfathers and grandmothers came from, but it's important to also not, only see things through an ethnic or tribal lens. You can't allow that to dictate your life, and it can't be the basis for decisions that really that divide the country.
Right. Yeah. Do you see that as a big problem? Is that going to hinder our progress going forward? Is that going to set us back?
I think it absolutely, it already has. Look at the 2007-2008 post-election violence. So that was a terrible, horrifying period for Kenya. And so the critical thing is to bring the country together and to bridge these tribal and ethnic differences. It has set Kenya back, and it could continue to do so without a strong effort by everyone. And it really is incumbent on all Kenyans to do this, to not make decisions based solely on, tribal or ethnic differences.
And Pelosi, did we learn anything from the post-election violence? Did we learn anything?
That's a really interesting question, and the answer I would give is yes. And the reason I would say yes is because of the 2010 Constitution. So horrible violence, terrible loss of life, 2007, 2008. But then Kenyans sort of came together and said, we need a new constitution, we need a new way of doing business, and you put it in place, and now it's being implemented. And we're helping, we're working with Kenyans, I think, to do things like, build devolution, very important advance for Kenya, devolution of power. Lots of good things going on, the separation of powers. What's going on in Kenya is in many ways extraordinary. You've completely reorganized the way you govern yourselves. So you've got some old institutions like the presidency and the National Assembly with new responsibilities and powers. You've got new institutions like the Senate and the county governments, completely new. You're having a conversation about power. And what's critically important is that the conversation continue. that you figure out how decisions are going to be made, and that you do so in a spirit of compromise and building the country's prosperity.
So this democracy of ours is robust, as young as it is, as infantile as some people call it. It is a good thing, what we're doing?
I personally think that open debate, public debate, honest conversation about issues and challenges is very important. What's critically important as well is that it be nonviolent, that people not resort to violence to solve the country's problems. But debate, honest conversation, that is important.
Yeah. Is outsiders, is their biggest fear that Kenya might go back to 07, 08? Is there always that fear, or have we moved on?
That's really a question at the end of the day, I think, for Kenyans. My sense and my hope is that Kenya's moved on and that it will not happen again, but I do think that it's critically important, again, that Kenyans do everything they can to ensure that it doesn't happen again, because only Kenyans can do that. Only Kenyans can make the decision that they're not going to resort to violence.
Coming back to President Obama's visit, there was talk that there might be regional leaders coming in. Is that in the program? Are there going to be presidents from the region?
We just observed that he's also going to Addis, and there's obviously some things around the African Union up there. So the visit here, I think, is going to be focused mostly on Kenya.
On Kenya. Is there state dinner?
Jeff, you're very persistent.
I'm peeking into
the program.
But
I'm not going to tell you what the schedule is until we're ready to announce the schedule.
I'm trying to get an invite somewhere, either interview, state dinner, something, where I can wave.
I will pass along all your requests to the White House.
You weren't here in 06 when he came as senator, were you?
No, I was not here. That
was wild. I mean, it was incredible. And he was just, junior senator.
He was a senator at that point, yes. I'm sure that there is incredible excitement. I've seen it already. I see it every day.
Have you met him?
Yes.
You have met him?
I have met him.
What's it like as president?
I think he's an extraordinary president. I think he's a great leader. I think he has a vision of the world that I very much agree with, about bringing people together. I think, things like his speech about, there's no red America, there's no blue America, there's only the United States of America. I think his capacity to bring people together is extraordinary. And for me, I think having an African American president is a real testament. It's a demonstration of American democracy. It's historic. And I think he's a superb president.
Yeah, and he's made some amazing, he's some positive things for America, isn't
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is he going to go down as one of the greatest? Is that for historians?
That's for historians.
Yeah.
That's for historians.
Yeah.
That's for historians.
Most basic questions Kenyans are asking is it easier to get a visa now to America than it was 5-10 years ago? Is it easier? Or is it just
the majority of people who apply for a visa to go to the United States get a visa. It's clearly a lot of Kenyans go to the United States. Part of the people-to-people ties that I talked about, as I said, 3,200 Kenyan students in the United States studying. A lot of business people go. A lot of people go to visit their family. So the majority get visas when they apply.
Yeah. And you said there's 100,000 Kenyans in the U.S.?
At least 100,000. I've actually seen estimates up to 300,000.
Yeah.
No one that I'm aware of has a really good fix on the number.
Sure.
But it is big.
A lot of them are illegal. Is that what you're saying?
No. The good news in the United States is you don't always have to register, or we have a lot of freedom for these things.
Yeah. And these guys are going to be voting in the next election. That's a critical constituency.
You mean in the next Kenyan election?
Yes.
I have heard that the government will perhaps put in place a system at the next election to allow Kenyans abroad to vote. Obviously, that's a decision by the government and people of Kenya to whether that's permitted. For Americans, we can, in fact, vote absentee when we're abroad. It's a good system.
Yeah. Despite what Johnny Carson said, and I'll touch on this real quick, are you surprised at how well Kenya has turned out in the last 2 years?
So let me answer your question this way. I told you, and you know, that of course I was here 1996 to 1999. So I come back in 2012. And so I've now had this space of time, this period when I have not been here, when I was not here. And the first thing I see, and the thing I've experienced since then, is the extraordinary progress that Kenya has made in the intervening period. You made political progress, the new constitution. You made economic progress. There's a bigger middle class. You're building infrastructure. I think there's any number of different ways in which Kenya has made real progress over the last few years. And so I think that's a tribute and a credit to the people and the government of Kenya.
Yeah.
You are making progress. The arc has been upward. And Kenyans should be proud.
Yeah.
Kenyans should be proud.
But not forget that we could lose it all.
But not forget, and not fail to address the problems. Security, corruption, ethnicity, there are still huge challenges that could derail Kenya's future. So be proud of what you've accomplished, but continue the upward progress.
Yeah. Youth unemployment, another thing, the youth budget we keep talking about.
It's a huge issue, and obviously that is something that also has to be addressed. There are way, way too many young Kenyans in particular who are unemployed. And, it's one of the reasons why the Global Entrepreneurship Summit is so important.
Yeah.
It is a huge opportunity, I think. Entrepreneurship is what drives job creation. It's small and medium-sized businesses. In the United States, it drives job creation. Around the world, it drives job creation. So it's just so important that we find ways to nurture it. In the United States, we have more than 1,000 programs to help budding entrepreneurs. In Kenya, I know there are a number of programs, but continuing to build, expand those programs, nurture, mentor, encourage, provide venture capital to young entrepreneurs, that will help drive Kenya's economy and frankly build prosperity.
Indeed. Okay, other than your passion for jogging, and by the way, congratulations on the Lower Marathon. How was it?
Thank you.
You had fun?
It was fabulous. It was hot. It was hilly. It was hard. But I love running, and Lewa was fabulous.
After describing it in those words, Balozi, it was hot, humid, it was horrible.
I didn't say horrible.
Oh, okay,
I did not say horrible.
Why'd you do it?
I love running. For me, running is just part of my life. I've done a lot of different sports over the years. Running is the one that I've really stuck with and done for a very long time.
How many clicks a week?
It varies a lot, depends on the week. Obviously, some weeks are a lot harder than others, but on any given day, I'll do 5, 6, 7, 8.
Wow.
Sometimes on the weekend, I'll do 20.
Wow.
Last weekend, did 25 on Saturday. So it really just depends.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of races over the years, marathons, even a few ultra marathons. I do a lot of running.
And your other passion, you've been talking a lot about elephant poaching, Balozi. A lot. You're passionate about that, aren't you?
I'm passionate about elephants. I think that elephants are extraordinary. They're almost human in a way. And I think that when you spend some time with an elephant and you kind of have an opportunity to interact with them, learn a little bit about them, they are remarkable creatures. They, form into families. They mourn their dead.
Yeah.
They take care of one another.
Yeah.
They're extraordinarily intelligent. They have great memories. They're remarkable creatures.
Yeah.
And although I have a particular passion for elephants, it's certainly true, I also have a passion for wildlife generally and our environment. I think, frankly, if we save wildlife, we save ourselves. If we protect our planet, we ensure that we are addressing the problem of climate change, we save ourselves.
Dr. Paula Kahumbu says he was going to watch the show tonight. I know you've worked a lot with her program. How are they doing? Are they winning that war? Are they struggling?
I think there is progress on this challenge in Kenya. I do think that in the last couple of years in particular, there's been some progress on the problem of poaching. But, if you look across the continent, there's still a huge challenge. There's still far too many elephants being killed by poachers.
Yeah.
And the reality is that poaching is not the only threat. It's also human-wildlife conflict. The reality that elephants need a lot of space. All wildlife needs a lot of space. And it's really important that we find a way to give these critically important, elephants and other wildlife animals the space they need to live.
Yeah.
Again, I think it is good for us as human beings. I think it's good for our children, our future. So it's very, very important.
Absolutely. Pelosi, we've got literally 1 minute to go before we wind up this show. I want you to look into that camera. You're talking to Kenyans about the upcoming visit of our brother, our son. Go on.
You know, I think President Obama is very much looking forward to returning to Kenya. I think this visit will be historic. It will be historic for Kenya, but it will also be historic for the United States of America. And I think that it will be a remarkable moment for all of us. Very much looking forward to it, and I know Kenyans are too.
Indeed, Pelosi, indeed. As always, sir, good to see you.
It's great to see you, Jeff.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Don't forget my request, okay, please?
I will pass those requests to the White House tonight.
So if I don't get a phone call, just know, don't call us, we'll call you, sort of thing.
There you go.
Honest man. Well done. Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Great to
and
see
good
you.
luck next week. You're not going to jog for 3 days, you know that?
I am going to be rather occupied with something else.
With POTUS.
Indeed.
Is FLOTUS coming? Is the First Lady coming as well? Can you tell us that?
I can tell you that the President's coming.
U.S. Ambassador Bob Godec telling the truth. The President is coming. Barack Obama on his way, folks, a week from Friday. Get ready. The program, Pelosi says, is going to be a good one. No wonder there's a buzz in the air. And there should be.
There should indeed.
Excellent. Thanks so much for watching, folks. Keep tweeting at Bob Godec, at Koinange Jeff, the hashtag Obama in Kenya. Next week, new week, new topic, new guests, new themes, same place, same time. And if we're lucky, POTUS. No pressure. Thanks so much for watching KTN and KTN News. Keep watching Kenya's television network, KTN. Good night. Good luck. Asante Balozi.
Asante sana.